For me, this was a much better chapter than I think it would probably be for most people. And what I mean by that is, I like Phantom Seer. Like, so far, I enjoy the series, but I'm not crazy about it. Like, I'm not going to downplay it or overhype it. One of the things, though, that I've mentioned that I do like, obviously, the art. I mean, I'm not going to deny the art is very crisp. But I've mentioned that I like Iori. I'm not crazy about him. I think he's pretty cool so far. I like Riku. I think she has a lot of potential. I like her personality and stuff. But I do like Kenma, and I think I've mentioned him like previously as Enma. I think I've called him Enma like in probably the past review or two of mine. Regardless, Kenma, I think he's pretty cool. I like his design. He's got a very basic design, but I mean, granted, on top of like he's got a very regular hairstyle and glasses. He's wearing a school uniform. Maybe like if he wore whatever his like regular attire is going out, he'd probably look a little cooler. But I do really like his power and his personality. He gives me a similar vibes of Uryu Ishida from Bleach, but unlike Uryu Ishida, it looks like Kenma already actually has a lot more position in the spotlight. And that's just one of those things that, like, when I look back at Bleach, it's one of the weirder things throughout the entirety of Long Scale that like Uryu didn't do a whole lot. Like, he had a couple moments, but like when you think about how long Bleach was, and you think like was it the last arc was like a third of the series, and he did very little in that. So seeing a similar, not the same, obviously not the same character, but a similar tone, like he gives off a little bit of a similar vibe, but he's already performing really well and enough that I definitely would rank him above the main character in my book, at least as of right now. We are only 23 chapters in. Ranks can obviously change in personal preferences and stuff, but I definitely would say if I had to pick one character right now, outside of Yayoi, because I really like her. I think she's pretty cool. But I mean, like hers is mostly based on like design and then hype. Like we don't have a lot about her, and we have at least a fair amount of her ability, but we don't know like a ton. And unlike the other people, like when you see like Iori, Riku, Kenma, any of them, we know that like we've seen their abilities. We know that there's gonna be more to them, but like with Yayoi, she's already so far up there. She probably has a ton of abilities we don't know about. We just haven't seen them performed yet. And I was happy actually, just as a side thing in the chapter, she was mentioned because it did say one of the conceiving hands at one point fought her and lived. I'm guessing that'll be whoever is like the leader of them. You know, who's ever the strongest time, because they say it's not Puppet Master. So it's not the one that they're at right now. I assume it's going to be whoever is at the top of the list. And I'd have to go back and look because I know they said Yayoi, she's like one of the top shaman in Japan. I don't think that they gave her an exact rank, and I don't know how she ranks in the world because we know that she's a big deal. We don't know if it's like, oh, she's third in Japan, top 20 in the world or something. And even if you're top 20 in the world, that's still top 20 in the world. We don't know exactly where she ranks. We just know that she's highly ranked. So it's a little bit difficult to kind of gauge where that's at when we know that she's strong, but like the most we know about her is just like when she showed up and flexed really quick. Like, well, I can't remember what chapter number it was, but obviously, like anybody who knows what I'm talking about, she showed up at Tsukiyomi Castle and just said, all right, sure, and pulled out the big spooky eye in the sky. But it's a little difficult when you don't like to gauge a statement like that if you don't know exactly how strong she is. And the weird thing about that is it's going in reverse. Like usually when you have a statement like that, you end up seeing the character first and so like kind of able to gauge the bad guy off of like, oh well, if they're able to, you know, who knows if they were equal, or even if that's like a step or two below her, it's still really impressive within their world. But well, honestly, I believe we're gonna end up seeing this conceiving hand fight before Yayoi, so it would be again like a reverse way. So we're able to hype her up based off her. She should be equal to or stronger than that of, you know, whenever we see that person. Again, it's a little weird just because it's a hype tool that usually you have more information before you get whatever, like the hype of behind what they just said. Like, oh, if you're equal to this person, then generally you have a grasp of what that means. But when you have no idea of the person they're referring to and the person that they're kind of relating them to is super vague, also, like even still, very difficult. But I liked the chapter. I thought it was pretty cool. I like seeing just Kenma in action. We already have like a fair amount shown by him, but like I said, like I like Kenma more. So not only is it like better to see him get more of a spotlight because again we haven't seen much of him, but also I would personally prefer to see him more than the Iori. And Iori already's had so many cool moments in the series, so giving his what I assume that Kenma is his rival character, that he will have he should just have his own moments to compare. And I think actually looking at this chapter, one of the reasons that helps build like the idea of him being his rival is Iori's power is being like shadow based, and I know that it's like sound as part of it for his Tengu, but like this definitely has like some form of weird light aspect to it, and like even has the wings. I don't know, maybe that's just the design. Either way, like I really like his cool spear design. I've also mentioned before, I really like characters that use weapons outside of the regular ones. Like I love swords. Like if I had to pick one, obviously I'd pick sword over all else. But I mean, like when you see characters using nothing but swords all the time, it makes like a dude like this who uses a staff that becomes like a energy spear stand out so much. And like there's no requirement of like a character has to have whatever weapon wherever, however. It's just cool to see when one of them is split so far differently out of what the normal way of fighting is. It makes them seem just a little bit extra special on top of that. So him with this cool stab spear, I really like. I enjoyed that. Just in addition to his character, but also this other character. I'd have to look for her name just because I haven't seen much of her, and I was not entirely sure if she was male or female in the previous chapter, but we definitely have like notes that she is female, and then you could also see like a much more feminine figure from her in this chapter. But and then like I'm just trying to find her name. I'm literally scrolling through the chapter as I'm doing because it'll bother the hell out of me if I don't remember her name or at least read it by the end of this. But I was actually really surprised for a moment when you saw part of her like turn into a doll, because the series already has some weird abilities, but I didn't put that so far beyond them if there was somebody with some weird power like that, especially if their whole thing is based around like dolls and controlling them and whatnot. If they had some form of method to turn people into dolls, and we see that in the chapter, and I was just like, wow, they're getting a broken power pretty fast, but it ended up being an illusion just because though I would have been fine with them getting something like this, it did seem super difficult for them to combat like as inexperienced and like low to the ground as they're like, yeah, you would go up against somebody with like a crazy ability like this, I'd believe, because she probably would have 10 different methods in order to fight against them. And one of the reasons why that is just because like if you bring too crazy of powers too early on characters who aren't prepared for it, like if they started out and all had crazy powers and you brought another crazy power character, and sure, there's some JoJo type moves, but if they're just like, for the most part, Iori's got, shadow manipulation. He's got a couple of, like, attacks from it. And, they got the barriers and what. Maybe, actually, Riku would be, like, the counter. Maybe her barrier would be able to do something. I don't know. Either way, it ended up being an illusion. And I like that moment because it showed a level of, a very calm, like, tranquility for Kenma. He was able to just take a breather, like, just get his head back on his shoulders, straightforward off, and figured out it was an illusion, and that's when he ends up, using his Tengu. And even has like a cool point where he's like saying we call them his little brothers. He says that they're not puppets. I like that. I like that he doesn't see them as just like little summons that are nothing but weapons to him. He likes them, and he's doing his thing. Got his badass freaking energy spear chopping these dudes up. I thought that was really cool. I like the girl's power as well in this chapter. Like she had this weird dog thing, like it was like this weird spiky hound, and I'm trying to figure out like what exactly it did. Like it had this energy attack in its mouth and then spit it and then it exploded. So like is it like an eating power? Because she even says like, oh, it's called spitball, like Goon is able to create a stronger blast of divinity's power. So is it just like it's a charged blast thing? Because that'd be kind of cool just in general if you had some form of big mob that just charged up like an energy blast to shoot, or however it's handled. I'm looking real difficult trying to figure out where this girl's name is. If I don't find it, if I don't find it soon, then I'm just gonna I'm gonna kind of move on. But at the same time, I'll definitely like it'll be one of those times where I have to go back and look, and it will just be stuck in my head. That happened recently when I was reviewing Undead Unluck. Was that girl? I think her name is Latla, unless I've somehow forgotten. I was like saying can't remember her name, and then like immediately afterwards I went and found her name, and then it just hasn't left my head since then. So that might be the case with this girl as well. I do like her so far. I like her design. She has like a very sleek setup to her. She got like the short hair, but it looks good with her suit. And at the same time, she had a couple like interesting moments with her power, but also I like when she almost tripped and she got a little flustered. I thought that was just a little bit of a character moment for her to show she's not just always emotionally stagnant. So I like that. I like the general information we got as well in the chapter, like the hype about this conceiving hand apparently messed with Yayoi at some point. So I'm looking forward to that. I think that'll be really cool, especially actually now thinking about it. If we get to that character and we maybe get like a flashback of just seeing like a couple attacks from her, that would be really cool because like I said, she's a big deal, and we haven't seen much of her, and it's just one of those things where you have like a big flex character, and it's nice to see them early, but we're probably not going to see her do a whole lot for another big chunk of time, and not even see her actually fight probably until like whenever the first big arc of the series is, if not like the second big arc. Who knows? Either way, comment below, thumbs up the video, but from the like button, subscribe button, and check out my other videos. Further than that, I appreciate everybody's already subscribed, and I thank you all for listening. Oh, just tell me somebody give me that girl's name in the comments. But other than that, thank you all for listening.